Vladimir Putin's got a few enemies, so it's no surprise that he's spent quite the fortune protecting himself. Advanced tactics, wide-scale surveillance, you name it. Stick around, because I've got the inside scoop on the many people that make sure you can't get within 3 feet of Putin. Now, I'd go as far as saying Putin might not even need a security detail. Being a former KGB agent, he has more than enough training to assess dangerous situations and protect himself during a one-on-one confrontation. Case in point is Putin's famous walk. See how he swings one arm and keeps the other relatively still? It's theorized that that's from decades of KGB training. He knows to keep his hand constantly at his side in case he needs to pull out a weapon. Some even say he's got a gun up his sleeves. I frankly wouldn't put it past him. But in reality, Putin's no one-man army, and he is in fact quite obsessed with keeping himself secure and alive. He takes care to keep his health in tip-top shape as well. You can find Putin taking serious measures to keep himself virus-free, for example, like wearing a hazmat suit before visiting a hospital in 2020, and meetings with world leaders and even his own advisors. He likes to keep a nice, safe distance between him and them, sometimes even up to 20 feet. Then who's in charge of keeping Putin safe? Well, the special service responsible for the security of the Russian president is called the Federal Protective Service. Its staff records and financing are pretty classified, but some sources say it numbers over 50,000 employees in total. Putin's bodyguards call themselves musketeers. They're comprised of a special unit within the Federal Protective Service, which traces its roots all the way back to 1881. Back then, they were tasked with protecting czars. Now, they protect czar adjacents. Putin isn't going to surround himself with just anybody that can hold a service weapon. His bodyguards are handpicked for qualities that include operational psychology, physical stamina, and the ability to withstand cold and not sweat in the heat. Pretty tall order if you ask me. Well, that's probably why I'm not part of the Secret Service. The Musketeers are reportedly outfitted with special briefcases that serve as shields to protect Putin. And for offense, they pack Russian-made 9mm SR-1 Vector pistols loaded with armor-piercing bullets. They also follow Putin around when he's flying on his legendary airplane. It might not look like much on the outside, looking like a basic Ilyushin IL-96-300 model airplane. Putin's presidential plane has been severely modified and costs $504 million. Inside the cabin is ridiculously lavish and sporting a level of luxury not very many heads of state can brag about. Beautiful birchwood furniture and incredible gold accents, even alleged golden bathrooms. The plane has 87 phones and a video teleconference system so Putin can always stay on top of things even when he's several miles up in the air. The presidential plane is, unsurprisingly, outfitted with a hefty amount of military technology. It has anti-missile defense systems on board and can refuel mid-air. Couple that with a spacious office space on board and gym, and Putin can turn this flying command center into the Kremlin 2.0. Of course, with decked-out equipment like that, Putin's guards aren't just to stand as a shield for oncoming bullets. They try to avoid danger long before it has a chance of even happening. For example, before Putin's travels, it's the job of his guard detail to scout out his destination months ahead of time. They check to see how the public will respond to his visit. They even check the weather. The last thing you need is an unexpected bout of bad weather or a natural disaster. They inspect wherever Putin will be staying and install jamming devices to prevent remote detonation of bombs, while technicians conduct electronic surveillance of cell phones and other devices in the area. Some very high-tech sci-fi level security measures. Putin also has someone sample the meals he's served to ensure he's not being poisoned. Kind of like a medieval king would. See, this is what I mean when I say czar adjacent. Except unlike the Middle Ages, this time Putin gives it a modern twist. According to the founder of the Club de Chef, a culinary organization whose members cook for heads of state and monarchs around the world, there are tasters, but only in the Kremlin, where a doctor checks every dish to make sure it's safe. If you've seen this video from 2018, where one of Putin's bodyguards was recorded intimidating famed mixed martial arts champion Conor McGregor, you know a little bit about his bodyguard's tactics of operation. Not just anyone can get near the king. A man can be seen briefly stepping into view to correct McGregor with a steely gaze and a gesture. The fighter was looking pretty sheepish after that little exchange. Feel kind of bad for him, not gonna lie. So what are the tactics Putin's security detail employs? First off, they're always prepared. As I mentioned earlier, months before Putin leaves his residence to appear in public anywhere, his security team has already done a full analysis of the area, assessing the possibility of criminal activity, social unrest, and natural disasters like earthquakes or floods in the region. If the president is going to be staying anywhere, members of his guard arrive at the place to coordinate their security schedule with the local authorities. They check the accommodation from top to bottom, making sure everything is up to code and everything is repaired to the last doorknob. That way, during Putin's stay, no technicians or repairmen would be needed to access his living quarters. I don't know whether this counts as paranoia or just an incredible level of security. They do have a wide range of authorities while carrying out operations and investigations, including electronic eavesdropping, opening mail, searching homes, seizing vehicles, detaining and interrogating suspects. So you tell me. Second, they use complex security tactics and effective weaponry. When action calls, like when Putin appears in public, that's when the tactics come out. Putin's guards organize themselves loosely into 4 circles. The closest circle to the president, or the first circle, are his personal bodyguards, some pretty menacing-looking guys in suits and sunglasses. They're equipped with an earpiece and a suitcase, on the outside at least. The sight of these ominous-looking fellows is enough to deter any attackers. I'm feeling pretty deterred just looking at them. The suitcases they carry are actually protective shields that can be deployed to protect Putin from bullets. You might think the big dudes surrounding Putin are the most important part of his security detail, but it's only meant to look like that, to fool potential assailants. The second circle, unlike the first, aren't men in black-looking fellas. In fact, they are totally inconspicuous in the crowd. They dress formally and behave discreetly, while searching through the crowd for potential attackers. The third circle encircles the perimeter of the crowd. Their job is to prevent suspicious persons from even being within proximity of Putin. The fourth circle are snipers situated on the roofs of the surrounding buildings. Their job is to take down any potential threats the first 3 circles couldn't handle on their own. So I don't recommend fangirling too hard over Putin and running towards him screaming when he's out in public. You might find a red dot on your temple before you even notice. Seeing as how you can't stop potential assailants with sheer willpower or pleas and thank yous, Putin's security detail is unsurprisingly stacked. Guards are armed with a 9mm Gurza pistol that can shoot up to 40 bullets per minute, penetrating bulletproof vests from a 50-meter distance. They also carry Kevlar umbrellas, which are super sturdy and can deflect projectiles. During Putin's appearance in wide public spaces, additional protective equipment might be required, like installing bulletproof glass screens around him. However, if a shootout were to occur, that means the security team has already failed, and somebody is probably gonna get fired. Their job is to, above all else, prevent any attacks before they even have a chance to happen. But that doesn't mean they aren't constantly ready for a firefight. Take Putin's heavily armored motorcade, for example. When the president travels with his entourage, he's escorted by armored vans filled with Spec Ops units armed with AK-47s, Dragunov sniper rifles, anti-tank grenade launchers, and portable anti-aircraft missile systems. And just like in every globe-trotting action movie, extreme driving is a required skill if you want to be on Putin's security detail. Putin isn't just sitting in the back of any car. He rides in a special custom-made presidential limo, the Auto Senat. It was built to rival foreign brands like the Rolls-Royce, and it cost $192 million to develop. Putin's presidential limo can withstand sniper fire, chemical gas attacks, and has built-in advanced communications equipment, making it a mobile command center as well. The back seats are retractable for extra security, and even when the blinds on the windows are completely shut, occupants of the limo can still see what's happening outside, thanks to the live CCTV footage from the limo's built-in cameras. And if somehow this car proves to not be safe enough, there's an emergency exit built into the rear of the car. Despite all these measures, Russia's Federal Protective Service is rumored to occasionally use a body double for Vladimir Putin. Funny enough, Putin has acknowledged that he has been offered a stand-in when making several trips to less friendly parts of the country, but he claims to have allegedly declined these body doubles. Yeah, I don't buy that one bit. Say you want to risk your life and sign up as one of Putin's guards. What kind of training and experience would you need to have to land the position? As you can imagine, it takes quite a lot to protect someone with as many enemies and rivals as Putin. Surprisingly enough, the requirements for this position don't include real war experience. This means that it's very unlikely anyone in Putin's security detail has ever arranged any ambushes in the mountains or jumped out of a plane with a parachute. Combat experience might be useful, but it's not exactly applicable in this line of work. That's also why former police operatives aren't fit for the job either. Policemen are trained to apprehend, and for a job that has security as its first priority, they don't find themselves making the ranks of Putin's guards. Members of the guard must have what they call operational psychology, which means being able to anticipate and prevent threats, and to do it all while being unnoticed by others. Applicants simply must be younger than 35. They also require a height between 175 and 190 centimeters, and weight between 75 and 90 kilograms. I guess genetics can screw you over on this one. Putin's personal guards are also expected to understand foreign languages and be generally proficient in politics. You've got to know the affiliations of the people approaching the big man after all. Putin's guards are trained to have high stamina. They're trained to sustain considerable cold in light overcoats and to function under substantial heat as well. They're trained to always be on guard. Part of their training is to always keep their arms in front of their body, their left hand often raised halfway. This is quite compulsory, especially when the immediate task of his personal bodyguard is to shield the man in charge, with their bodies if they have to. It's not all extreme training conditions and rigid tactics, though. Putin's bodyguards get to look forward to a couple of things. For one, they are allowed to smoke cigarettes to help calm their stress, but not during work hours, of course. Being the incredibly stressful and draining career that it is, I think they'll take all the respite they can get. Speaking of which, Putin's bodyguards reportedly have to be replaced upon turning 35, due to the incredibly draining nature of their employment. But like I said, it's not all bad. They're usually rewarded with powerful new posts as regional governors, federal ministers, special service commanders, and presidential administrators upon retirement. Basically, they get cushy government jobs. Vladimir Putin is an incredibly popular world leader, for better or for worse. He served as president of Russia since 2012, but that wasn't his first stint, serving as prime minister of Russia back in the 90s and early 2000s. As you can imagine, he might have a few reasons to worry about his safety. As if he didn't have to worry enough about being the most powerful man in Russia for decades, he's also incredibly wealthy. Now, the exact amount of his net worth isn't really clear, but estimates have estimated it around $40 billion, sometimes going all the way to $200 billion. Even if Putin was just your everyday run-of-the-mill billionaire, with a net worth like that, there's no way he'd be walking the street without a proper security detail. I know I wouldn't. So do you think you have what it takes to get up close and personal with Putin and get out unscathed? Or would you do what I do and daydream instead? If you enjoyed this video, you're gonna love the videos on the screen. You should check them out as well. See you there.